The songs of the Seven Kingdoms tell of a noble brotherhood in the north, a shield that guards the realms of men, a place where a bastard or a broken lord can find honor, glory, and redemption. Forget the songs. The moment you put on the black cloak, you aren't a hero. You are a dead man walking. The Night's Watch isn't a brotherhood, it's a frozen penal colony. Welcome to Level 1, the choice. Except, you didn't really have one. You were caught poaching a lord's deer to feed your starving family. The magistrate gave you two options: lose your hand or take the black. You chose the wall, thinking it was a second chance. But as the iron cage wagon rattles up the King's Road, the temperature plummets and the grim reality sets in. You traded a quick mutilation for a slow execution. Look around at your new brothers. To your left is a cutthroat from Flea Bottom. To your right, a disgraced noble who slept with the wrong lord's daughter. They already hate you. Weeks pass. Your bones ache from a cold you've never felt before. Finally, you arrive at Castle Black. You expected a grand fortress. Instead, you find a rotting collection of wooden shacks and pigsties. But then, you see the wall. 700 feet of solid, weeping ice blocking out the northern sky. It is the most terrifying thing you have ever seen in your miserable life. You realize the brutal truth. You are just a meat shield for the lords down south. Level 2. The Breaking. You think your time in the yard will turn you into a legendary swordsman. Instead, you meet your master-at-arms. He's missing 3 fingers, half an ear, and he hates you more than the cold. He pairs you with the Flea Bottom cutthroat. You have a clumsy wooden sword. The cutthroat hates you. You spend your first week coughing up blood in the frozen mud. But the beatings aren't the real test. The real test is the cold. It seeps into your bones, turning your fingers black and your toes numb. You learn to sleep curled in a tight ball just to keep your heart beating. You watch the arrogant young lord from your wagon break first. He steals a horse in the dead of night and tries to ride south. They catch him by morning. You are forced to stand in the courtyard and watch as the Lord Commander takes his head. There is no escape, only the wall. Then comes the day they send you up. You step into a rickety wooden cage, and a terrifying winch pulls you 700 feet straight into the freezing sky. Your stomach completely drops. You step out onto the top of the wall. The wind howls like a dying animal. You look north. It's a boundless ocean of jagged ice, black trees, and creeping shadows. The veteran beside you spits over the edge. That's where you'll die. Level 3. The Point of No Return. You survived the training, but now comes the real trap. It's time to take your vows. You kneel before a weeping weirwood tree, the red sap looking like fresh blood in the snow. You say the words, "Night gathers, and now my watch begins." You swear to take no wife, hold no lands, and father no children. You are giving away every human joy you have left. You are no longer a citizen of the Seven Kingdoms. You are legally a ghost. The Watch owns your blood until it freezes. Then comes the assignment. You pray to the gods they make you a steward or a builder. Cooking stew or chopping wood is miserable, but at least it's safe behind the wall. But the Lord Commander looks at your scars from the training yard and smiles grimly. You are named a ranger. You don't get to stay behind the ice. You have to go into the darkness. They hand you a battered sword, a meager ration of hard salt beef, and a horse that looks just as terrified as you. Your first ranging begins at dawn. You march toward the tunnel. It's a narrow, suffocating hole carved straight through the bottom of the wall. The crushing weight of 700 feet of ice hangs directly over your head. The heavy iron gates winch open. The freezing wind hits you like a hammer. You are stepping out of the known world and into the graveyard of the gods. Level 4. The Unknown. You ride into the haunted forest. The trees are massive, twisted, and suffocating. The further north you go, the more the cold feels alive, an entity actively trying to stop your heart. You aren't a warrior, you are a trespasser. Your mission is to track the wildlings, but when you find their camp, the truth is terrifying. They simply packed what they could and ran for their lives. Paranoia sets in, and the night falls. You aren't allowed a fire, so you huddle with the men you despise, shivering and praying for dawn. Then you hear it, a sound like ice splintering against steel. You look at your veteran ranger, a man who survived a dozen winters. He is staring into the dark, absolutely terrified. When morning breaks, you find out why. In a clearing, slaughtered wildling horses are arranged in a massive, sickening spiral pattern. Smelling the blood, your own horses panic, snap their reins, and vanish into the woods. You are now stranded on foot in the deepest part of the north. Suddenly, the temperature drops 20 degrees in a single second. A screaming wall of white snow swallows you whole. Blinded, you call out for your brothers, but there's no answer. You stumble blindly through the drifts, completely alone, until you trip over something buried in the snow. It's the cutthroat. His throat is slashed, but there is no blood, just a gaping wound sealed with a thin layer of unnatural blue ice. The wind abruptly stops. As you slowly look up, you realize your mother's bedtime stories were completely true. Pale shadows detach themselves from the trees, gliding over the snow without making a sound. Level 5. The Trap. You drop your gear and run until your lungs bleed, scrambling up a hill of ancient stones for the high ground. But as you look down, you realize running was useless. They surrounded you. Hundreds of silent, rotting figures stare up at you. The crowd parts, revealing the flea-bottom cutthroat, his frozen neck gaping open, his eyes burning like blue stars. They charge in absolute terrifying silence. You swing with everything you have, but your steel sword shatters like glass against a blade of pale ice. A rusted axe catches your side, and ripping claws tear you down. As you collapse, you catch one last glimpse of the wall shimmering impossibly far in the distance. Your watch is finally over. Except, in the deep north, the dead don't get to rest. A terrifying cold command rips through your mind, and your eyes snap open. You lift a rusted sword in your rotting hand and begin the slow march south. And the worst part? The lords in King's Landing are still drinking wine, completely unaware that the boy they sent to the wall in chains is coming back to slaughter them all. So, I have to ask you, if a magistrate gave you the choice, would you lose your hand, or would you take the black? Let me know your survival strategy in the comments. Would you try to desert, or would you freeze with honor? If you survive the ice, you might be ready for the fire. Make sure to subscribe, because next time we are trading the frozen forest to a burning sky. Thanks for watching. See you in the ashes.